System 333 on air today. We have a very special guest. Our first guest from Germany, from Berlin. We got Yorick, the king, met in Australia back in 4 years ago. Had a few funny experiences over there in Sydney. Yorick is now doing roof plumbing in Berlin. He's actually in Munich for a few days, so we've got him here from Munich. Good to have you on the show. How you going today, Yorick?
Thanks, man. I'm great. Very happy to be there with you. We haven't been in contact for a long time, so lots of to catch up, and awesome to be there.
Yeah, it has been a long time. I remember when you did come to Sydney. We went out to the establishment bar where there was salsa and all that, and we went out a few times walking around George Street. And I got to admit, Sydney was a lot different back then. If I was to compare the experience we had in Sydney those years, those experiences probably wouldn't be happening, at least now in 2020, with all the restrictions, the lockdowns, and everything that has happened. So we experienced a very different life in Sydney, even though it was only 4 years ago. So how fast things change is quite incredible. I do remember now that, well, mentioning it, I told off that lady in the restaurant. Remember?
I remember that.
Yeah, because she was being a bitch. Yeah. I'll say that on podcast. There's no filter on my podcast. Yeah, she was a fucking bitch. She didn't understand what type of order I wanted, and yeah, I said fuck her business. I remember that. So that was a pretty funny moment. But look, aside from that, we had a really good time. I guess we got a lot of insight to discuss, because now I'm still living in Sydney and you are over in Berlin. You've experienced the pandemic. Over in Germany, you've voiced a few of your opinions. I know you have a friend as well that I've been in touch with, Patrick. Do you still speak with Pat? I think he's over in Frankfurt or Cologne.
Yeah, well, actually, we did, but since then, and we went in Mallorca together. So after Australia, we met a couple of times. Yeah, we were promoters there, and so I met him like last time, maybe nearly 2 years ago, but yeah. Pretty much.
Did you meet him in Sydney? Because I know he was in Sydney as well. Or did you meet him when you were in Spain?
I think I met him in Spain for the first time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because he's been doing a few things as well. I think he'll end up coming on the show sometime soon too. So I wanna just get a bit of insight now. So look, Germany. Of course, everybody knows Germany, major country in Europe, major European power. Most people say it's the more the centralized part of Europe in terms of economy, in terms of what's going on in politics. The head of, the Chancellor of the European Union, Angela Merkel's there. Not many people like her. Well, not many people I know like her. What's it called? I want to know what's been going on in Germany, in Europe. How has the pandemic played out? When did things really start kicking off this year, Yorick?
Well, I mean, it started in February, March, right? So when I think in all countries it started like that, with a major, panic attack, because we didn't really know what happened, what it was when it started in China. And there was a big lockdown, so school was canceled, all that shit, and home office. And then during the summer, there was nearly no corona, because there were parties again and bars were open.
So this is from June, or was it May? Because I know it gets hot in May, I think, or it gets hot in June.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So around there. And then now, since maybe 1.5 months, we have the second lockdown. And
it started in October.
No, actually, like lockdown, I think, I don't know, it started maybe 3 weeks ago. It's funny because in construction there is no fucking corona. It's in construction, the construction industry is booming. Okay, like corona.
Same as in Australia.
Yeah. So it affected maybe like a couple of maybe the big ones, who work with like extremely big projects and stuff like that. But like, I would say the most people in the construction industry don't give a fuck about corona. It works actually better than before, because when there's lockdown, there's less cars on the
Less
road,
traffic,
and
you can get from site to site. Yep, same thing in Australia.
yeah,
I heard it
yeah,
all.
and people are just like the money they save because they don't go out, they spend it on that kind of shit. So I mean, so for me, nothing has changed really. Nothing has changed because except that school, we had some homeschooling and stuff like that. But except that, the work and stuff like that, nothing has changed. So it's funny. Some people have like a completely new lifestyle, and but for me, like we really don't give a fuck. We really don't. So yeah.
No, that's fucking awesome because look, because I was working all through the pandemic, and I was working in providing solutions, HR solutions for business owners. A lot of the businesses that were still continuing, the industries that were intact, were construction, Yorick. So like we had a lot of businesses who were able to now complete projects a lot more easily. One, because like you said, less traffic on the road, easy to get from site to site, a lot more, a lot less fatigue, a lot more time to do things uninterrupted. And on top of that, construction, for example, because a lot of people had forecasted work. Let's say they forecasted work for the first half of the year. Even if the coronavirus came, there were still a lot of commitments they had for being able to build a house or being able to renovate a place. So a lot of people still wanted to get the job done that they committed to while the coronavirus was running rampant. So I think construction, any type of construction that really was helping improve homes, or building homes or renovating homes, they were still intact in the Australian economy. What about the rest of the economy? How did you see cafes, restaurants, other type of institutions, gyms be affected by this coronavirus in Germany?
Well, in Germany, so the gyms are closed again. Like they were closed in the first lockdown for like maybe 2 3 months, and then now they closed again, and it's been, let me think. I think it was end of November or even earlier. Like time is running so fast, man. November, October. No, actually, like since the end of October was the last training. Yeah, exactly. And so the big gyms. So I can only tell you from my experience, right? So the gym I'm at, the kickboxing gym I'm at, doesn't take any money for the Corona month,
That's
and
good.
yeah, and I guess some people are just paying it still, and I don't know how they do it. Okay, I don't know if they get some government support and stuff like that. Okay, so gastronomies and so the food industry is open only for takeaway, and I know there's been a lot of like a big bailout and stuff like that. So I don't know. In Germany, usually there is a bailout for everything, and usually you get your money. So
Oh, that's
I
so good.
know, yeah, yeah, I know, but still. So for example, so I know a psychoanalyst. So I'm going there sometimes, and she tells me um, that she's on the verge. She's not really like, she's not poor enough to get some money, but she's not rich enough
Make it.
to in the gray zone. So, but usually people who have like a job in the gastronomy business and stuff like that, they usually get money, you know. And then of course, I mean, it's a question where the fuck the German state has the money from, like it's big. I think it's like 300 400 billion dollars. So so it's I don't know. I feel it's gonna have a bad ending, but that's just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that was very interesting was I mentioned Patrick before. I saw that there were a lot of protests. Tell us a bit more about that. I know that there were videos in Berlin. Were they at the Brandenburg Gate? What were the protests like? What was the general response from the German public, from the German people?
Okay. So the the Grundgesetz. So basically, the let's say the most basic laws, have been changed. Okay, so and there's been a lot of protest against that, and so Germany is a bit fucked, because the people who are against Corona, even if you have good arguments, they kind of seen as crazy, and the response the response against those demonstrations have been quite intense from the police. I haven't been there personally, but from the videos I've watched and all that, I know that, for example, I think at one demonstration there was a, how do you say that, the main line you see on a newspaper, like the headline, the headline.
Yeah.
The headline was like, okay, police used water throws at against those people, So we call them in Germany. They're called Querdenker. Querdenker means like people who are thinking not straight, but in a good way. So, for example, there was this video going viral in Germany from a speaker at one of those anti-corona protests that said like, "Oh, today was the day that Anne Scholl, so the girl, so Anne Scholl was a girl during the Second World War who distributed flyers against the Nazis and
What's her
who
name?
actually got
What's her name?
executed." Anne Scholl or Annette Scholl? I don't remember.
I know that. I think I know the name. I just need to see it to remember it, like the actual writing.
Yeah, it's actually Anne Scholl. Nee, Sophie Scholl. Sorry. Yeah, Sophie Scholl. So Sophie Scholl was with her brother was a girl who distributed flyers in the university, and I think it was like 1943, 1944 or something. And yeah, and they got shot, And the speaker, so it went viral in Germany, and the speaker was like, okay, this was the day that Sophie Scholl distributed those flyers, and today I am like her. I am here, distributing the truth as well. And it's funny in a way. I mean, it's not funny, but it's completely exaggerated because back then they got shot for telling the truth, So I feel that those Querdenkers, so the people who are against the Corona, how do you say that? The Corona restrictions. On one side, I feel like most people have good arguments. On the other hand, I feel there's people who are too much into that
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, pretty much, or they take it too seriously. But still, I mean, the how do you say that, the constitution, not really constitution, I'm not sure if it's on the level of the constitution, but I think it was on the level of the constitution that the law has been changed, so there is new pandemic laws that make it easier to
restrict people and detain
to restrict
people.
people.
And detain
I mean,
people,
it's a big thing, it's a big thing. So I mean, the state is now is now legally allowed to police you,
Yep.
So I mean, it's a big thing, and the bailout we have now, like the restriction and all that shit, like I mean, it's a big economical problem. Like look, the gastronomies, they need money, the all the hotels, the tourism industry, all the little shops, like a lot of little shops, I mean, there is lots of different how do you say that, parts of the business world that don't make any money as well.
I think I think we've had something similar in Australia. I gotta see if the correlation is close. So we had something called JobKeeper, whereby businesses who were going under, which means businesses who were losing money, were given a bailout, which we call a welfare package, right, in Australia, of a certain sum of money a week to be able to hold their employees. But how long will it last? Who knows? Because that bailout or that welfare payment is supposed to finish at the end of March. And what that will mean, Yorick, is after that, there'll be no more bailout money for businesses that have suffered. Now, so we don't know what the future holds for Australia. What's your opinion on being, because, okay, I had this conversation with someone in Melbourne. All right. I remember I had it with this guy in Melbourne who ran a cafe, and he said to me, look, you can't just continue making these businesses float on bailout money. Eventually, they will crash and burn because there's no foundation, right? And once the government can't give them any more money, wherever they're getting the money from, they're going to fall apart as they would have had they not had money to begin with. Um, there's one thing that I like to phrase, and I call it the phoenix must burn to emerge, which means that certain businesses need to fall apart for new businesses to rise from the ashes, right? But while
Mm.
they keep everything safe, secure, it makes it very difficult for the new cycle of the business of the businesses in the country to be able to start. What's your opinion as to how the economy will pan out for 2021 regarding businesses in Germany and them taking bailout money?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel the Phoenix analogy is maybe not the best one for this situation because usually it's the businesses that don't work, that need to burn, and then maybe they revive in a better way, But in this situation, I'm pretty sure there's businesses who are actually good, like good businessmen and good business girls who have shops and stuff like that, and who are not allowed to have their good business. So I
Okay,
don't know.
so basically they're holding the
It's
phoenix back. The phoenix can't even fly.
Yeah, the phoenix can burn, it can fly, it can do nothing,
Paralyzed.
So sorry.
It's paralyzed.
Yeah, it's pretty much paralyzed. So I
Mhm.
don't know if that's the best. Mm, I
Analogy.
don't know if that's the best analogy. On the other hand, it might be very true. Like, let me quickly Google how big the bailout package is in Germany. Deutschland Schulden.
Yeah, because the way I was just thinking about the
Huh?
phoenix is that when you stun the phoenix, it can't burn, it can't fly. All right. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. So, for example, if they've frozen all the businesses, it just kept them in limbo. If we
yeah.
burn the phoenix to the ground and then it rises from the ashes, it will be a new beginning for the business world. And this is how the cycle of the economy works, that certain businesses need to die, others need to re-emerge, other businesses just need to readapt and change their strategy. And I've seen businesses do that. They've taken a different approach. You have a lot of restaurants now that were only doing dine-in, now just doing takeaway, drop-off, and delivery, and they've reinvented themselves and revived themselves from the ash instead of being constricted by
Okay. Yeah.
bailouts. So yeah,
Mhm. I mean, I think the phoenix is going to burn at some point, but I feel it's going to be part
picture.
of a bigger economic crisis, and I don't think it's going to be 2021. I think it's going to take a little bit more time because I'm a little pessimistic because I feel that Germany has a lot of bailout money. I don't know where it has the money from. Okay, Germany is still a rich country. I guess so. Yeah, that's what they say. I'm no economist, but on the other hand, what I see, I don't know. I don't think that the Germans are so smart anymore. So I don't know if the talents of the German can reinverse this whole bailout money. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think uh, we that great anymore because there's a lot of there's a lot of how do you say that competition as well. I mean, that's the whole thing with the West, right? With Europe. 40 years ago, you had a German dude who just studied. I mean, what was the competition? There was not so much competition. Now maybe you got some Indian guy, get some Czech guy, you got some Polish guy, and this guy might actually do better work than some German dude who just studied. So I think the level of
Competition
capability, yeah, the level of competition rise and the level of capability,
a lot
uh,
higher.
yeah, dropped. I would say. And I don't know, maybe we Germans are still smart enough and good enough to make it all work. I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
And
that's very interesting because, you really see how a country's potential kind of tapers off, once you remove part of the local brain, the brain drain, the economy, the people that are capable of running things more efficiently. In terms of what you think Germany needs, I mean, you're outspoken about a few things. How would you see Germany changing for the better? If you were to implement one thing into Germany right now, what do you think the major thing Germany is that they can do to sort the situation out?
I would say stricter laws, and I would say it must be a mentality change because Germans are getting lazy a little bit, and they like, oh, having children is it's too it's too much work, and I want to work till 4 p.m. and then I got my break. So and the whole system, that's a funny story from Germany. I don't know how it is in Australia, but that's so German. So it was a girl or a woman, I don't know, and she worked, I don't know, for 3 years straight. Okay, so we have 30 days of vacation that we can take, right? And um and so um and she worked, I don't know, many years straight up, and did a lot of like overtime and stuff like that. And then at some point, the Arbeitsamt, so it means the how do you say that, uh the Ministry of Work, you know, came on and said, "Oh, you work too much. You work too much." Okay, and she wasn't forced to work too much, but they said, "Oh, you work too much. You need to take 6 months of break. You need to." So they forced that woman to stop working. And what is that for bullshit? So I feel the German mentality and the German economy and the German laws are actually hindering people who want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Okay, yep, yep. I agree. I think the same thing is happening in Australia. Really, what the idea was I saw is that they're trying to create a divide between people who are rich, people who are poor, but also sending people into this kind of provisional economic middle class, which isn't really a middle class. It's more like, well, it's controversial me saying this, but indirect communism. It's like a form of socialism. So get everybody on a similar income, get everybody to have all their basic needs met, put restrictions in place so people have less freedom to be able to voice, to be able to move around, and track everything. So I don't know what's happening in Germany, but every time we go to a hotel, every time we go to a restaurant, every time we go somewhere which is considered a place of a social gathering, you now need to scan your phone and get the QR code. So the government or whoever else has an idea of where you've been and what you've done. And this is not something we experienced, in Sydney when, we went out 4 years ago, Yorick. But now, for example, if we were to go into a establishment bar or even that restaurant I was talking about, we would need to just scan in with our QR code so the government would know everywhere where you go. Is something similar like this happening in Germany?
it was, but now everything's closed. So I mean, in my opinion, you're lucky it's still open. I wouldn't care for that QR shit. Like in Germany, it was different because it wasn't all digital. Like you can just like write yourself into a list. Yeah. How do you have any people who had corona? Do you know any people who had corona?
Yeah, in India, yeah, but not in Australia.
Oh, in Australia, none of your friends. And in India, I mean, I got a friend in India. He said like lots of people dying there.
It's true, yes, a lot of people are. And my dad, he wants to go back there, but he can't because the situation is very severe. India, so actually, because see, I'm half Kashmiri, right? So um,
Mm.
that's the north of India, very, very north. It's pretty much between Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's considered on the DNA test Central South Asia, so more Pakistani Afghani gene. Um,
Mm,
it's a very cut off part from the mainland of India. I mean, it's still part of the mainland, but it's in the mountains, so you have
yeah.
to go through multiple mountain passes to get there. So geographically, it's a very different place. But in Kashmir, they're facing a double lockdown. One, the coronavirus lockdown, as the world knows it, and number two, the social political lockdown between the Indian army and the Kashmiri locals, Kashmiri government. So they're going through the hardest time out of all the places that I know of, even more so harder than anywhere in Europe, and Victoria in Melbourne, who came out of a long lockdown. Um, with Europe, okay, with Europe. Now, obviously, there's so many different countries facing each another different situation. I know you would be in touch with multiple people from different countries. What has been the stories that you've been getting from, let's say, your friends from Denmark or Sweden or France? How does that compare to where Germany is in terms of the coronavirus?
I mean, look, my brother lives in France. My aunt and my uncle living in France as well, and my uncle works in Egypt. Okay, so I tell you the story about Egypt first.
Yeah, that'd
So
be good.
Egypt,
Is that Sharm el Sheikh or Cairo?
no, he's in Cairo,
Hmm.
and so Egypt had a lockdown, and how he explained it, he basically explained it. So they had to, I don't know, the curfew was maybe, or they could go out, let's say from 8 to 10 or something, or like let's say 8 to 6 p.m. And between 8 to 6 p.m., everyone was in the how do you say that, in the public transport, like fucking packed, and then from 6 p.m. on, it was a lockdown. But during those, let's say, 8 hours of where they could go out, they were packed as fuck. So in Egypt, there is no corona, okay? Because it's just, I mean, what the fuck are the people supposed to do? It's, first of all, it's a country that's based on tourism, okay? Tourism is dead, so they're gonna have some financial problems anyways. It wasn't it's not a rich country like Germany, so they can't afford to do all the tests, all the bailouts, all that shit. And yeah, so um it's not like I feel so. For example, in Egypt, and they think that 15 to 20% of the population in Egypt has had, or have, like, or has had the coronavirus. Yeah. All right. So I mean, that's a poor country. That's how a poor country goes with it, and people are dying. People from all statuses. So there was a military general who died. There was, like, big people. Big people are dying too. I guess small people too, but we hear about the big people. And yeah, so that's how it goes in a poor country. So in
So
France,
people,
I've
so
seen.
people are still like, Corona's there, but people just have to, continue on. And if people die, people die. It's like it is what it is,
That's
right?
it. It is what it is. It is what it is, and that you
That's pretty
can't.
fucked up. Like when you think about it, pretty ominous. Like, but yeah, I mean that's life, isn't it?
What do you mean? What means ominous?
Ominous is like, I guess foreboding death. It's like there's something dark about it, but you just have to understand and accept that this is basically how. Well, we all know about the Black Plague. For years in human history, we're talking thousands of years, these type of things have come and just done their job because that's just the way nature unfolds, and it can be out of our control.
I mean, I feel that's the and that's my main issue with all this lockdown and all that shit, is that people are afraid to suffer. I feel that's actually the main reason why everyone is like afraid of corona and all that bullshit lockdown. People are afraid to suffer. People are afraid to die and to suffer, or have people dying in their families. I understand that. Like, let's say so I'm against lockdown. So look, first of all, my grandfather died. Okay, he died from
Sorry, bro.
probably. That's all right. That's right. But he probably died from the complications of coronavirus. Okay, And so he was 93, and
Oh, long life, man. Ninety.
long life, man, the best guy, dude. We could do an interview about like uh, his World War stories and all that shit. I mean,
Wow.
the great
He,
guy,
he was in World
amazing
War
guy.
Two.
Yeah, born 27. He
Wow,
was
man.
born 1927.
Mm.
So I mean, he was what is that? So eight. Yeah, he was 18 at the end of the war. So yeah,
Shit. Fuck, that's a
yeah,
whole nother
yeah.
topic, man. Whole nother topic. But yeah, let's so go on. Yep, your grandfather passed
So
away.
so he passed away. Okay, but he was 93. He actually he died from the complications of coronavirus, meaning he got the virus. He had a couple of days of fever and got weak. Okay, and then it was actually 3 days ago. He vomited, and then he, I don't know, he went into a coma and died. Okay, without the coronavirus in his blood, he had no fever or something like that. So we don't know exactly. Anyways, okay. Now let's say my parents. My parents are pretty old. No, my mom is I how much is she? 62, 63, 65 or something.
Mhm.
Um well, she was born 56, okay? So she's like 64, I
Mhm.
think so. Yeah. And okay, let's say the lockdowns are not as heavy, okay? Well, they might die. They might die, okay? I mean, the risk is there, okay? So is it worth it? Is all those lockdowns worth it? I would still say, hey, I would rather take the risk of having a freer life and having to suffer, okay? Having to suffer because I might lose someone, but I prefer the risk of having to suffer because that's life anyways, okay? Than those pretty stupid lockdown measures, okay? My uncle, who's 3 years younger than my mom, he had corona and it didn't affect him so much. My aunt, who's about 50 something, had corona and she was sick for a week or so, and it didn't affect her more than that. But still, I feel the main argument is like it's so European, it's so white in some ways, you know. So it's those people who are like really living in their head and just like, yeah, they I feel they try to evade uh
Reality.
the powers of life in some
Powers
ways.
of
Yeah,
life. Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
you know
you
what?
know.
I'm with you on this, man. You know, I, I mean, I've studied history. I'm a history major, so I basically studied a lot of patterns of the human experience, and some of the massive, whether it's natural disasters or illnesses or political unfolding of political destruction, whether it be war or whatever you want to call it, um, slavery even. These type of things, unfortunately, especially when it comes to something like a disease, which, you know, arguably where the disease came from, how it came about, that's another topic for itself. We'll never know because we're never there, Yorick. But what we can definitely say is that the quality of life in this human experience, regardless of whether you're in Germany, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in India, wherever you are, has deteriorated. And it's not so much because of just the fact that there's a virus out there. I think the virus, yeah, well, obviously if you get it, it's going to fuck you up. But it all has to do with the freedom and the freedom of this human experience and the restrictions that have been imposed to go against that freedom. So, where you kind of put everything on freeze, we were talking about, businesses having to go on hold, this type of, I feel like humanity as a result of this virus, have artificially forced themselves into a state of limbo, um,
Mm,
a limbo state of existence. Um, and, it's almost like we've come to a point of inertia where everything is, there's all this happening, but nothing is moving because it's like, hold on, wait for this virus to go, and then we can go back to life as normal. But the reality is, we can't expect to keep things going like this forever. What do you think it needs to be? What do you think has to give for people to just say, fuck it? The virus is the virus. Let's just get on with our life. We can't hold on forever. But people are waiting on a
think,
vaccine. People are waiting on a vaccine. That's what they're waiting on.
but I mean, it's not gonna change. I mean, it's funny. I bet some people as well who are like that, who are like, maybe you go to a shop, and they say like, hey, hold your distance, please, hold your distance. Yeah. Do you experience things like that in Australia as well? For sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get some weird cunts like that. I mean, yeah, I remember when yeah, there are a few people. They're robots. When you hear them talk, when you hear those people talk, you know they've been so heavily programmed by the fucking Matrix. They've been so heavily programmed by the Matrix. They even sound like a robot when they say it.
I disagree with that. And for this example, I would take my uncle, another uncle, who's like shit afraid of the virus, and but he's smart. He's smart as fuck, But he's still like he's still afraid. Like he came from the US. I came to Munich just to visit him, and for example, he didn't want to shake my hand, So stuff like that, Look, I love him, it's not the problem, but I feel it's I don't know.
But don't you
It's
feel like it's a robot like it's like they've been programmed. It's part of the
no,
neurological, part of the
it's like
neuroplasticity. You've suddenly taken on a worldview, a subjective worldview. You've incorporated in your mind. There may be some level of rationality to it, like maybe some logical science. Okay, yes, I'm a high risk. Maybe I'm a high risk candidate for the virus. But ultimately, now this new idea, this new thing has constructed your worldview to the point that you're too paranoid to shake your own nephew's hand. And that like, isn't that
if
mentally restricting?
I feel I mean I feel that's one part of it, probably if the media would say something else, it would have another effect. On the other hand, I feel it's just a denial of life. It's some kind of denial of yourself. If you say like, oh, I don't know, this might be dangerous and stuff like that, like, come on, man, it's fucking life. Like our neighbors upstairs, that's fucking crazy. I mean, I don't understand how people can think like that. Like literally, for me, that's living like a dog.
Well,
So it's
I call it
so
robot. You call it dog. I call it robot. We got the same. I think we're on the same page.
yeah,
It's just how we're seeing it.
yeah. Look, so I tell you about that neighbor. So she's, I don't know, she's 65 or something. Her husband is 80, and he had a big operation, so he's weak, and but their son is still living at the house, and the son is going to school. But she's so afraid that since the beginning of the pandemic, okay, or I don't know how long, but since the son is going, during the schools are open or whatever, but for a long period of time, and she's still doing it, the son is living like separately in the same apartment. Like, imagine what kind of mom you have to be. Okay, your son is like 18, 19, 20 years old or whatever. He lives with you in the house, and you're like, no, no, you live in your room, we live in our room, because it's so dangerous. Like, what the fuck, man?
Hmm. And
Mm.
you think that with that mentality, how is it that people can just bond together? Like, it removes the oxytocin. People bond through chemicals, through oxytocin. How can you go on living like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a life of a dog. Like, seriously, what the fuck is going on? Like, for me, but I feel that's just denial of life. Like, do you want to live like a dog and maybe escape death, or do you want to live a full life and there might be pain? And I mean, those people, if they live like that in Corona times, I don't think that their mentality is going to change in some decisions they have to do in life when it comes to pain uh, and and rewards. Like, I mean, I don't know if they start a sport, or even children. Like, if you have children, of course you're going to have a lot of pain. But the rewards are probably going to be there as well. So I feel it's just
We have to walk through the fire.
yeah, we have to walk through the fire. I mean, that's just how it is, you know. And I mean, look at the lion, look at that dog, you know. Would you imagine a fucking dog or fucking bear saying, "No, I stay at home today because I might I don't know. I feel there is berries or I don't know.
Poison berries. I can't eat
Poison
the
berries.
poison berries everywhere. Or,
Yeah,
the fucking poisonous platypus fucking swimming around. Platypuses are poisonous. I don't know if you saw one in Australia. You think the fish is not wanting to swim around the water because of the fucking poisonous platypus, mate? You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. It would be like, oh fuck, they might be a platypus today in the waters, you know. Or imagine a brown bear saying like, no, I don't want kids. It's too much work. No, fuck no, you know. So it's just and animals. I feel animals are great teachers in some way because they are
They are.
a more I'd say an honest reflection of life energy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, they are because why? Because they're in their mammalian brain. Okay, they're in their mammalian brain,
Yeah, that's
which
it.
okay, which all right. Humans have got a higher cognitive function, of course. But again, the mammalian brain is arguably what is the foundation of human survival. So we need
Yeah.
to really be realistic with it, like you said. Animals kind of have that realism when shit hits the fan to get straight into the mammalian brain and survive. So I think this really the message, that we've kind of come up with today from discussion is that, and we're just closing off here as we're coming toward the last few minutes, is
Mm.
that humans need to be more realistic with their biological nature, with their mammalian brain, Yorick, and not create all these artificial impositions on the human experience to restrict themselves from living life. Would you say that's pretty much what we need to start acknowledging from this whole coronavirus thing?
I mean, you said it very elegantly. Yeah, I feel the people who are so panicking about this virus should maybe take a minute or two to think about the, let's say, yeah, about the healthiness of this kind of attitude, you know, and if it's yeah, and I feel yeah, that's it, man. And I mean, you know, we're not all mammalian. I feel that like I'm not against restrictions because of the coronavirus. That's actually not the point. I feel it is a pandemic.
Mhm.
It is
It's a real thing.
it's a real thing, man. It is how it is, man. It's a real thing. But I mean, even without philosophizing, even just using our prefrontal cortex and just using our how do you say that? Our reason to. I feel the lockdowns we're taking for the risk we are evading are just. It's a bad deal, man. It's a bad fucking
Yeah,
deal.
because it slows down life. It fucks the human experience. We need to be more liberated. We need to be more adjusted to how life is going to change. And, some will argue and say this is social Darwinianism, man. This is evolution. This is survival of the fittest taking place right in front of us. And as hard as that's a tough pill to swallow. You know what I mean? I think we need to start asking ourselves, what are we going to do to better our own survival?
Hmm. I mean, you know, the thing with social Darwinism and like I come from Germany, so I see it. I see the extreme ways of social Darwinism, and the extreme ways of social Darwinism is, for example, the Third Reich. Okay, so they took social Darwinism on a very literal level. Okay, and so there is limits to that as well. I wouldn't be against for example taking no restrictions at all, so and just being like, oh fuck it, there is a virus and all the old people will die and all that shit. So I feel that's not the right decision too, because hey, come on, we can be smart a little bit, at least a little bit, but I still feel that we're trying to evade the big bang, you know, but it's gonna come anyways. It's gonna come fucking anyways. So fuck it.
It's
Social
just
Darwinism is. I mean, the universe always puts things on the humans to. I mean, there will always be events that will.
test humanity or puts humanity at stake or something.
Yeah, that's it, man. That will make social Darwinism great again. No, but you mean what I mean with that is like that will um, filter a certain
Group of
uh,
people or
yeah,
people with
a
certain
group of
things.
people.
And
Yeah,
it's unfortunate to say that, but it is reality. It is evident in what we understand from how species survive and change. Now, I want to just come to the close. We
yeah,
have been speaking for some time, and it's been very interesting discussion. I'm sure like there's going to be more to discuss in the future. I'd like you to come and speak a bit about your grandfather on the next
sure.
one. That was definitely an interesting topic, especially given the period of time he lived in and what he'd probably been through, seeing how modern Europe unfolded. To finalize and close off the podcast, Yorick, what would be moving forward for 2021? Of course, you're in Germany. What would you like to tell your own people, German people, to be able to do for themselves? One positive thing, just so they can have a better, more fresh year in terms of how they deal with everything happening in the world right now.
Enjoy the pain.
Enjoy the pain,
Enjoy
huh?
the pain. Enjoy the pain of working hard. Enjoy the pain of, I don't know, losing someone, but enjoying the pain of having to wake up in the morning and stuff like that. But let's face it, man. No pain, no gain. That's really it.
Yeah, pain
And
is
pain is
weakness leaving the body, and this is duality, man. You got to suffer a bit to enjoy pleasure, to really know what
that's it,
pleasure is.
man. And you have to suffer greatly. That's it, man. You have to suffer. That's all it is. And I feel in Germany we could need a little bit of that mentality. And either it's gonna come by some events that will put morals back into place. That will show people that truth in some ways, or I don't know. But yeah, I would say that's what I would say to Germans. Enjoy the pain. Yeah.
Enjoy the pain. Well, look, how can people
Sounds very
reach out to
German, right?
how can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you, Yorick? What's the best
uh,
way? I'll put your Instagram here.
Thank you so much. I got Instagram, and I think that's the easiest way. Yorick himself, so Yorick with Yorick, like in Shakespeare. It's a dude from Shakespeare from Hamlet. So if you don't
Fucking
remember
cool.
how to write
Such
that
a such a
name,
fucking mad name.
thanks, bro.
I don't know
Thanks,
anyone
bro.
else with the name, so yeah, it's a pretty fucking cool name.
Thank you, bro. I'm a dead guy in Hamlet, so and I'm very in a very famous scene. So I'm 100% happy with my name. But yeah, Yorick himself on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to anyone who wants to reach out for some kind of, I don't know, reason.
Yeah, we look forward to getting you on the show again. I want to thank you, and yeah, I hope everything goes well in Germany for the new year. And yeah, it's been good having you on the show.
Thanks for the invitation, Zach, and thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, man.